Good morning, everyone. My name is Anne-Marie Band. Today is October the, what is it? I don't even know what day it is. October the 22nd or something? Yeah, October 22nd. And this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. I'm going to start on the weeklies simply because yesterday we had a few wonky things going on with the TrendSpider space, and I want to get back to that. So far in the ES, if we take a look at the weeklies, just a moment ago, we were getting fairly close to this edge. You can see buyers trying to come in. Why? Momentum is up, trend is up, so they're going to try and buy the dip. In the first place, they're going to try and buy the dip is somewhere between the area of 58.65 and 58.52. So the question is, well, Marie, that's 13 points. That's not chump change. How do I work that? Well, let's take a closer look and see if the daily formations are telling us something a little bit different. Now, we can see that our weekly rising is under shallow volume, but that really doesn't tell us much of anything because all of the rises have been on a shallow volume, and just about all of the selling has been on bigger volume, right? So not really telling us much of anything. This candlestick here at 53.72, critical because so much volume came in, and we've stayed above that price. After that, we have this candlestick, and that's well below it. That's at 5,600. Might we see that somewhere later on? Potentially, but nothing to worry about here, okay? We don't want to look at volume that way. It's become much more intricate in terms of assessing volume formations. So now let's look at the day, right? And we can see that we've broken through this noise. Do we really need 58.84? I think it's more critical than 58.77. So I'm actually going to move 58.77 out, although we know that we've seen some action there in the small bits. Now, what do we have? We have higher low, higher high, higher low, lower high, lower high, lower low, although just by a clip, and now we are testing a lower high and another lower low, but coming into 1, 2, 3, 4 days of frontline support and relatively 2 days of resistance. So this area near 58.50 also might be very important. The breakout zone is down here at 58.31, maybe to 58.38. I don't know. I think it gets very noisy there. I think a lot of traders are going to try and move price action around there. So I would say it's better to just be cautious in that zone if it comes down into that area. I don't know that it will. I'm just preparing, okay? Now, what are the formations saying? We're under a downward sloping VWAP that might be just reverting to the mean. We have two upward sloping hulls. One of them is flattened out a little bit, suggesting a near-term resistance being formed until it isn't. And then one that's straight up that says buy the dip. So if I were betting man and we come into, I don't know what we've got released here today. Hang on. What's today? Tuesday. We've got Fed Manufacturing Index for Richmond. Who knows what the Treasury playback announcement's going to do, and then some bill announcements, and then some money supply. Well, the Treasuries have been rising over the last few days, and so that's a little troubling if the Fed is going to lower rates. And of course, my suspicion is the reason that they're lowering rates is because they have to, because they're crushed under their own debt. They're being forced into that area. But neither here nor there. Here's what we're looking at. If we can flush down into these lower areas, 58.50, the quick snap buy that does not lose 58.44, going to give us some long action. Otherwise, we're going to fade. All right, we've left this big, thick selling volume area, and now this pocket is very thin. It's a low volume pocket here, and we have a low volume pocket also in the 57.20s. This low volume pocket is in the 58.20s to the 58.40s. All right, now let's get into the actual nitty-gritty of the motion. I have drawn the value area high, value area low at this time. What time is it? It is 10 after 7 Eastern. And so this is what we're staring down. our midnight candlestick formation, they're going to fix this for me because this is not quite right. So the midnight candlestick formation is right here at this 58.84. That's a key zone. I said it yesterday. Underneath 58.80, we're going to find sellers. Above 58.80, we're going to find buyers. So your thought might be, well, what do I do right there? Wait for it to clear the zone, and then it'll tell you what to do. Here it is. Yesterday, 58.80 came in, bounced, and could not hold the zone. So that's a clearing of the zone in downside pressure, and then buyers came right back up. Look at where they're holding today, right at the London low. This 58.64 is a key zone. This is the first hour of London trading that went on, and we are underneath everything. Take a look. Downward momentum, but flat. Doesn't matter. It can stay flat and continue to move down until it doesn't. But flat, so the bounces are going to sell until we get above the high of Europe's open. And that's that 58.77 number that I had initially marked there intraday. We get up over that zone. We're going to head back into the 58.80s, back into the value area low, where potentially we could sell off again. The trend intraday is different to the daily trend and the weekly trend, which are still very strong to the upside. Intraday trend shows this fade. What have the traders been doing? They've been fading in the overnight, and then if they faded into the overnight, they close their shorts, which causes buying, which results in buying, and then they reinitiate it, or they continue off the rail. But what we can see is that if we've been moving up pre-market, we've had the flush down to find buyers. And that's happened every single time. It's the absolute reverse of what's been going on in the pre-market. If it loses London low, we have another story to tell. That's a continuation event. And we can see the Fibonacci's that I've drawn all the way down into 58.40, really 58.36, 58.27, somewhere around there. That's my thought. All right. NQs. Let's go to the weekly. So what we've seen is we haven't hit the new highs yet. All right. We are out. We're not outside, but we are under the opening range of last week. There's a little bit of weakness there, right? We're continuing to move down. This is, I don't know, you want to call this some kind of whatever. I don't know. This seemed to me as a pretty indecisive candlestick. And so the next couple of candlesticks are really going to tell us what's going on. Are we underneath the VWAP? Yes. Is our trend up? Tight trend, very much up. A shallower trend, not quite as up, but still dip buying formations. Okay, so where do I want to put this one? Do I want to put it here? It's all sticky. It's very sticky with the wicks and that sort of thing, but maybe 20,051, because that feels like where it's going to sit. Okay, so if it loses that level, step out of the way, collapse into a tighter time frame, and find yourself a nice short. My thought is, we've been fading pre-market. If we bounce and we cannot get up over that 20,470, 20,500, we're going to collapse. Okay? Taking a look at the daily, we see the same sort of thing. I am going to eliminate one of these. 65, I think it's really 80 to maybe even 500. You just got to be careful there. All right? You got to be careful. What is it telling us? Well, we're underneath both hulls. So that tells us, even though they're upside, so we are looking for places to buy, we've got a space that says, listen, once it gets to 600, if it gets up there, you better take some profit. Doesn't mean that you turn around and go short. You could, but if it breaches this wick at 684, it's going to create a short covering frenzy that's going to take us up into the daily value area high, about 770. Okay? Right now, very sideways. Take a look. I can draw a line that can go through, let's see if I can do it for all of them. Absolutely, right down here. I can draw a line at 20,400 and go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days of price action. What does that tell you? They're trading the range until something happens. They don't know what it is, but they're taking advantage of the range. What have we done? We're well underneath the open of the prior day. We're advancing on the close, the low of the prior day, but also we just bounced off of the open of 2 days ago. Maybe that's where that number ought to be. What is this open? 384. Let's do that. 384. Okay, so that's going to be that line. If we break it, look out, we got another 100 points below, 120 points below. A lot of money to be made in this kind of environment if you want to be careful with sideways pressure. Now notice, I put up this was before YM stopped working, and so this was yesterday's formation. And I said, here's a trend line, and I did it on the hourly. I connected 2 of them and just let it run. And I use this here. They both collided at the opening range of last night, and it's been nothing but selling since then. All right? So there's some weird zigzag pattern type formations you could use that can approximate how far this goes. Neither here nor there, right? That's just, it's not, I don't think they're useful. I think they clutter up the mind. So here's my thought. Take a look at this. This is the low of the opening range from several days past. We bounced right into it as the London low. And now, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get to London high, right? Here is the lower edge, 20,340. That's a pretty nice buy zone. Yesterday, I thought 350 was a nice buy, and it did end up being a really nice buy. And bounced, but then, gave it all back and rotated up again. This is what we are looking at. You want to buy the bottom and you want to sell the top. In the middle, it's going to be a little bit of a mess, okay? It is. Risk might be higher, so watch your size. What is trend? Down. Underneath the VWAP, right? That means the average buyer bought above this number. And so now, if you're an average buyer, you're upside down. So you're going to try and cost average in and get out, I don't know, at this congestion zone here for 20,440, something like that. But that's what we're looking at. Buy the low, sell the high. Buy the low, sell the high. In between, it's just a mess. So you might go, but Anne-Marie, it's already bounced almost, 50 points or wherever. That's fine. Wait for it to rotate. See the slope? See the location of momentum? See the slope? See the location of momentum? That tells you, listen, it's going to take a minute for price action to settle out and become directionally upward. Here's the thing. You can chase this. You just got to be on a tighter time frame than a 1 hour, right? You'd need to go to maybe a 5 minute, and you look for bottoming formation, just like this. So now what's your risk? Well, 375. If you go, what? 375? Well, yeah. If you chase it here, you can take it up maybe 10, 12, 15 points. But this is very sideways, and so your best bet might be, well, let me see if it can come down to 400, where my risk is just a little bit lower. Or maybe I try to get it at 395, just a little bit lower, and don't chase it. Because listen, if you chase it, one, it could give back to you, right? But also, your head's not going to be in the game for the next time it fades and gives you the right entry point, okay? Markets are incredibly noisy right now. Wow, I'm taking a lot of time. Sorry about that. I'm not going to be here tomorrow, so I want to try and get, us all on the same page. Okay, YM. All right, here we are. YM, looking weaker than the bunch. It's almost at the low of last week, right? Breakout formation underneath the VWAP, 2 very upward moving hulls, and so that says dips or buy zones. Where could these dips be? Listen, the dips could be 800 points to the south. So what this tells you is, hey, listen, if I hold this at 43,000 and I can't get up over 43,180, I don't need to hang on for a brand new high. I need to think about retracement. If we go to the daily, we can see, again, this flattening looks a little bit like the NQ, maybe, but upward progression. It's just finding value. Trader's going to try and buy the bounce. So here's the thing. What if you said, listen, I'm going to try and buy it right here, 42,945. That's perfectly fine. It's a little early in the day. It's 20 after 7. My thought would be, why not wait until the market opens and it gives you a shot at a better entry point, or wait for them to stabilize a little bit and then you can buy the dip. This looks like a pretty good dip. I would just use a 1 lot if I were doing it, right? All right, pardon that interruption. A leg cramp. Okay, now let's go to the 1 hour. See what we've got. Now, notice this. This thing has been selling off since yesterday, right? Here is London high. Look at the bounce that gave us the short. Right in the 9 o'clock candlestick, it comes to the high of that region and turns around. Now, in the grand scheme of things, what does this tell us about what the market is doing right now? To me, this says, hey, this is another bottoming formation. Look at how long it took, right? 5, 7, 8, 9 o'clock candle dips all the way back down. And by then, the momentum is higher, okay? So what are we thinking? My thought is, if it can come down here into these levels, right? Into the 2618, that's where the buy zone is. Because right now, do you see how steep this is? The bounces are going to be sell zones. See how steep that VWAP is? Buyers are going to try and get out. They are underwater. And if they're underwater, they're not going to buy the dip at the first pass. They're going to wait it out. So if you're saying to yourself, hey, I want to buy this, nothing wrong with that. You just need to do it on a tighter time frame. Find a bottoming formation. That's this, right? See the double bottom here? Holding the value area low. By the time it gets here, look at what's happened to momentum. So it tells you you can buy it. And again, this gives you another higher low, and here it is bouncing. Where's it going to? It's probably going to the VWAP, if I were betting man, which is also London high, London opening high. And so to me, this says, hey now, let's wait for these guys to come back in, stabilize, see if they're going to hold, and then move to the north, if indeed that happens. Otherwise, this value area high is another short. When you get to this value area low, this 42,900, you could say, you know, I'm short. I want to take some profit because I've had a bottoming area a couple of days past. I don't know if the buyer's going to come in there, so I'm going to trim it. And then I'll wait to see if it stabilizes and starts moving up. I'll wait for the same kind of bottoming event, and then off to the races. Okay? All right. Let's take a look at SPY. 8 o'clock formations have been holding very steady, right? Look at where we're bouncing. Everybody's bouncing around the same pass. Value area low. Take a look. The top of the 8 o'clock candle from 1, 2, 3, 4 days ago. It's holding it as a floor. But look at momentum. Momentum is down. Trends are down. And so it's telling us that the bounces are going to run into all these buyers that thought they were sitting on the right side of the trade. If they turn around, they're going to hold this 582, and they're going to try to get back to 584. If not, they're going to rotate right back down into 579. Okay? That's what I'm seeing right there. This is the buy zone I would anticipate a lot of traders trying to get themselves involved in. What is it? 12. No, there's the 8. Okay. Let's go to the Qs. Look at how noisy this is. Where is the buy zone? It's down here, 491 to 490, right? If you participate here, it's likely that you might get chopped up. But what you want to do, again, if you're participating in noise, you have to go to a tight time frame and find something that works for you, right? What works? bottoming formation, momentum lifting into resistance. Why? Because the whole trend is noisy and sideways. Could it go higher? You bet. 4 a.m. candlestick formation is already gapped down. They could fill the gap. But on the 5-minute, you get to go, all right, I'm staying long as I'm holding my trend line, which is that moving average, and I'm holding momentum. Or you could go, I'm going to stay as long as I'm making higher lows and higher highs. Just make it simple, folks. Don't overcomplicate it, right? Don't overcomplicate it at all. All right. Do I want to look at oil? I do. Oh, for heaven's sakes. All right. I don't know which contract we're in, whether we're in C1 or C2. Some of these weekly formations are just not holding. Okay, so don't want to sound like a broken record, folks, but every bounce is a sell zone in oil. Now, the question is this a good bounce? Now, I've mentioned time before, if you get around 69 and you start getting a bottoming formation, you can take a long, just take it into resistance. 70, 71, oil's not going anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere until after the election, okay? Just like, I'm not going to say that. Yeah, okay? So that's it. Let's take a look at gold. Ooh, it's rolled. All right. Gold faded yesterday. Whoops, that's me. At the Hotel Alma. That's where I'm staying, folks. Very nice. 7th floor. Lovely. Okay. Have to log me back in. Yes. So this happened yesterday? No. Let's see. Let's go to 3. Yeah, this is what's happening. Okay, so watch this. Yesterday, this chart actually came into a value area low at this 2730 zone. Faded a little bit, bounced. Take a look. Double topping formation. Here's the rub. Momentum just as high as it was the last time. It was up here. So it could be things move up. We've got an upward sloping momentum trend event. Dips are still buys here. But it's getting a little nervous. Now, I think they're going to continue to be buys, even if the dollar rises, even if the treasuries rise, whatever. I think even if interest rates rise, this one's still going up because of who is buying these or what is buying these, right? Well, that's going to continue higher because, to put it in Games of Thrones chatter, winter is coming. All right? Take care, everybody. I'll see you on the streams.